Hi guys, this is Erica from Gokce Capital.
Now before I begin, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on notifications. Imagine this. You're on a cross-country road trip in your RV and you break down in the middle of the New Mexico desert and you haven't seen anyone else on the road for the past hour. What do you do? Well, this really happens to some full-time RVers. And in fact, I just read a true story about one such situation. Now, how did they get out of it? I'll let you know at the end of this video, but this kind of situation is one example of the unexpected hiccups that can hit when you are living full-time in an RV. So if you are thinking about packing everything up and taking off on the road full-time, here are 10 things you should think about before embarking on your journey. Number 1. Before you do anything else, you should understand the different types of RVs so you know which one will work best for you. There are 3 major categories of RVs. The first are motorhomes, which are the large self-propelled RVs that I think most people think of when they think of RV. Trailers, on the other hand, are RVs that require towing. So not only do you need to get the RV, but you'll need a truck that is capable of towing it. And finally, there are campers, which is really anything that doesn't fall into either of the above 2 categories, but these tend to be even smaller vehicles that are used more for weekend trips than for long-term RVing. Now, if you're going to be spending an extended amount of time in an RV, you may want to consider an RV park membership. RV parks generally aren't too expensive to stay in for a night, but if you are living full-time in an RV, these RV park fees can add up. So you should consider a subscription service that gives you a discount on RV parks across the country. Now, I've spoken with many people who are looking to buy land specifically to park their RV on, either permanently to live on or as a home base where they'll stay for extended periods of time. Now, this may seem like a way to save money, especially if you're living full-time in an RV, but be very careful if this is your strategy. You may be surprised to learn that in many parts of the country, zoning and building regulations will not let you live in an RV on your land. So just because you own a property doesn't mean you can do whatever you want with it. Now, before you pick up a parcel of land specifically for the purposes of parking your RV, make sure that local laws allow you to live in an RV on that land. Number 4, another alternative is to buy an RV lot. Some RV parks actually allow you to buy a deeded lot, so this can be a good alternative to buying a parcel of land. Another advantage here is that the deeded lot will often come with utility hookups. The downside, though, is that it can be hard to find deeded lots for sale. You typically won't see them in a site like Zillow, so often you'll need to search in sites that are specifically for RV lots. Number 5, you'll have to become comfortable handling waste disposal. Now, if you've done some RV traveling already, you know that you will need to dispose of your gray and black water tanks once they are full. If this is something that makes you squeamish, then maybe long-term RV living isn't for you. But also make sure that you are always disposing your tanks in appropriate locations. Number 6, you'll need to learn the basics of RV maintenance. When you're living full-time in an RV, you're going to be putting your RV through a lot of wear and tear, and you may also often find yourself in out-of-the-way locations where a mechanic is not easy to find. Thus, you'll want to become well acquainted with your manual and know how to do all routine maintenance listed. Number 7, get quality insurance. So just because you may have sold your home to live full-time in an RV doesn't mean that you no longer need to pay for insurance. Your RV insurance should mimic your homeowner's insurance, and it should cover both the RV and all personal possessions inside it. Number 8, get an unlimited data plan. You should expect that you will need to rely on your phone for internet, even in RV parks, because in many circumstances you may find that their internet is slow. Number 9, you can boondock on BLM land. So this may seem like a great way to save money, but just keep in mind there will be no utility hookups and no infrastructure or support. So you'll need to be prepared to rough it if this is the option you go with. And number 10, before living in an RV full-time, make sure that you do several practice runs. I heard one story of a gentleman who purchased an RV without ever having driven one before, and on his first run, drove right into a gas tank while trying to fill up his RV. So at a bare minimum, before spending lots of money on an RV, make sure you understand how to drive it, but also test out RV living on a few smaller trips before taking the plunge. And you may find that you enjoy RV living for a weekend or a week, but would tire of it pretty quickly if you did it full time. So what happened to our RVer who found herself stranded in the middle of the New Mexico desert? Well, serendipity would have it that a resident of a local town drove by fairly soon after she was stranded, and he turned out to be a mechanic who fixed up the RV for free. So sometimes luck is on your side, but you don't want to rely on it. That's why you need to be prepared before taking the plunge and living full-time in an RV. Do Do you have any stories about RV living? Let us know in the comments. Did you like this video? You're going to love our Gokce Land Due Diligence program. We'll make you a land due diligence expert in just 7 days. Check it out at gokcecapital.com/glad. And while you're at our website, don't forget to explore our $1 down properties at gokcecapital.com/listings. Finally, don't hesitate to reach out with any questions. You can email, call, or text, and we will respond as soon as possible. So thank you for listening, and more to come.